You're looking at 18 months for the stolen car, 5 years for impersonating a federal officer, or you can go home.
What do you want?
Get close to Hampton.
The Black Panthers are forming a rainbow coalition of oppressed brothers and sisters of every color.
Neutralize him by any means necessary.
America's on fire right now. And until that fire is extinguished, nothing else means a damn thing. Imagine what we could accomplish together. We can heal this whole city.
You ain't tell me it was gonna be like this. These ain't no terrorists.
We got a rat, man.
Does anybody else know about me?
No one knows your identity.
Are you sure?
And that was a clip from Judas and the Black Messiah. I'm delighted to say that one of its stars, Lakeith Stanfield, joins us on the line. I have no idea where from. I need to check these things first. Hello, Lakeith. How are you?
I'm quite good. How are you?
Oh, quite good. Okay. Well, we're doing all right. Where do we find you today, sir?
In LA.
Okay. Well, now we have 15 minutes with you, and it's terrific. It's great to have you on the program. Enjoyed Judas and the Black Messiah very much. Can you get us up to speed with William O'Neal and Fred Hampton, and just introduce us to the story of Judas and the Black Messiah?
Chairman Fred Hampton was a revolutionary in the 1960s who came to prominence in the late 1960s via the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, which he became the chairman of, and was a leader in the fights for human rights everywhere, and started things that are still being instituted today, like the free breakfast program, and was attempting to just make life better for people, particularly black people in the 60s that were under a regime that was not treating them fairly. And I play William O'Neal, who was basically an informant for the FBI, who took it upon themselves to go to war with the Black Panther Party and bring about the demise of Chairman Fred Hampton, using people like who I play William O'Neal, who were seeded into the group to cause disarray and also provide information to the government so that they may do all the things they did, like a raid that they did that ended up killing him at age 21 in his house.
And right, so I think what's interesting here, Lakeith, is that I think British audiences might not be aware. We're just sort of plugging in there from what you're saying, but might not be aware of the Black Panthers, and they might have a skewed view maybe as to who they were. There was an unaffiliated Black Panther group in the UK. Steve McQueen just did one of his Small Axe films about them. Can you tell us more about, just to introduce us, just tell us more about the significance of the Panthers as far as you're concerned, and who they were and what they stood for?
Yeah, I mean, the Black Panther Party was an international group that slowly but surely built up as a response to violence in America against black people, which there are many groups who rose out of that in the civil rights movement, during the civil rights movement. And they really were originally just holding police and people of authority accountable for how they treated citizens, and would oftentimes follow police around to make sure that they were doing things right, armed, by the way, legally, to make sure that they were being fair. And their even routine stops, like traffic stops, often ended in violence with people who were non-white. So the Black Panther Party would watch and make sure that they were being protected and going through proper procedure as per the law. And so the group just grew and grew and gained membership, and really took on an ideology that we needed to restructure ourselves internally, and then hopefully be able to restructure the government and the authority that was around us so that we lived in a more fair and balanced society. And as a result of that, the powers that be were not interested in seeing any change. So they wanted to see to it that all those attempts were stomped out and thwarted. So you had a war that took place between these groups that were comprised of people in the community versus authority figures like the government and the presidents at the time, and these counterintelligence agencies and programs that were put in place to try and stop these kinds of what they viewed as violent uprisings, which really weren't that at all.
And your character, Bill O'Neal, is very much an outsider. How come that he ended up as an FBI informant?
Because I think William O'Neal was a prime target because he had committed petty crimes, right? And crimes that could land him a little bit of time in jail. And so they had that they could hold against them. One tactic that those agencies will use is to find someone that got into a little bit of trouble and threaten to get them into either more trouble or be able to relieve them of their trouble if they decide to work with the agency itself. So that's what they did. He was a prime target because of the crimes he had committed, also because he was black. And so if he was to infiltrate the Black Panther Party, being black, it just made it that much easier to align himself with most of what the members were. But which, by the way, eventually there were many different people to join the Black Panther Party. It wasn't just black people. Chairman Fred Hampton started a Rainbow Coalition, which attempted to link everybody up and try to do away with the sort of individualistic type thought. So eventually they would open up to accepting different kinds of members from different backgrounds. Although some of those members, we would find out later, were also members of the FBI because the FBI was attempting to infiltrate at every angle.
How much footage of William O'Neal did you have to work on, Lakeith?
His interview from Eyes on the Prize is the only known footage I could find of him. So that's all I had.
So the film is framed within the context of an interview with your character who is telling his version of the story. And all the way through the film, we are asked to question exactly where he stands, because he's infiltrating an organization, but he also appears to be loyal to that organization as well. And I've read stuff afterwards in which his loyalty or otherwise is called into question. How did you feel about the situation that he was in, that he is infiltrating an organization that he seems to also have a loyalty to?
Yeah, I felt it was an interesting dichotomy that he was in, that, he had to continue to play the role. But, I at first thought that it was kind of shameful for him to go against an organization that he had been a part of. I realized later in the research that, he never actually, was, since its inception, actually aligned with them. He just went to do what he thought was a little bit of data collection, bring it back to the FBI, wham, bam, thank you, man. But didn't work out that way. He got in too deep, and they started to ask for more information, started to dive deeper and deeper until he ended up where he was at a point of no return. And he had to just continue to do whatever they said do, or risk the consequences, which by that time only were mounting up as a sort of snowball effect because of the things that he had been doing. So they could now charge him with these other things and this and this and that and that. So he had to continue to push down and push against the party, no matter if he felt aligned or not. So, yeah, it was quite a predicament.
One of the really fascinating things about the film is if you watch a film that's based on real events and you've been gripped by it, the first thing you do afterwards is go back to check how close to the real events it is. Now, obviously, in any film, there's a fictionalization. But the strangest thing about this is that actually all the things that you think must be invented are actually true. The most outlandish moments of the story are actually true.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Life is stranger than fiction, isn't it?
And when you were doing those scenes, Lakeith, I wonder if sometimes you felt the weight and the significance of the scenes that you were shooting, because obviously on the one hand it's a movie and you're acting, but on the other hand it has very much a resonance as to what's happening today.
Yeah. I mean, you hope to be, as an actor, drawn into having experience in roles that can help indicate something to you about your life and what you live apart from the roles that you play. So I'm grateful that this one had me challenge myself in unique ways and go against what I might have initially wanted to do or how I'm actually politically aligned or situated. So it's a unique challenge of growth and this expansion and understanding. And I think coming into be able to confront a character like William O'Neal as you really understand where you stand, and so it was good for perspective in that sense.
Yeah. I need to ask you about Daniel Kaluuya. You've acted with him before, of course. What kind of a chairman, Fred, did he make when you're acting opposite him? What do you make of that role?
I first heard Daniel's rendition of Chairman Fred Hampton at a table read, and I was crying at the table read. It's the only table read I've ever cried at. Just was overwhelmed with how he felt like what I had seen from Chairman Fred Hampton in the videos that I watched. And I knew that we had something special, and I was happy that he was a part of the story. But it wouldn't be until we got on set that I realized the magnitude of just what a great performer we had and, as a member of the cast. And so, you know, he'll tell you I ran up and hugged him several times throughout the shoot. And just I was very proud of him for helping bring this character to life, especially stepping in the shoes of a culture that is unlike what you might be used to. It really is a testament to how universal humanity is, regardless of where you come from or how you speak. And you have certain individuals that are really talented in channeling that individual or that universal God spirit in all of us. And so he's one of those.
Can I ask you a question about your own career? I remember seeing Short Term 12, the feature, and being knocked out by it and really liking it. And then reading that between the short version of Short Term 12 and the feature itself, that you had stopped acting and that your director actually said, no, I need you to start acting again because I need you to be in the feature of that short. Is that a modern myth, or is it actually true?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I stopped acting, but I didn't stop acting because I wanted to. I stopped acting because I had to, because I didn't have any money and I had no
Okay.
resources, and I was basically homeless. So I that's why they couldn't contact me because I didn't have a phone because I didn't have
Yeah.
enough money to have a phone.
So that is really true, that having done such a great job in the short, they it was hard for them to find you to come back for the feature.
Yeah. So what I did was I like moved up north in California to Sacramento. And I remember I was on this really old ass computer, and I went to Google and looked for like Sacramento Film Board or something I did
Yeah.
like that. And I
Yeah.
signed up on this film board out there, which was pretty dry because no one was really doing much with film out there at the time. But I signed up on it anyway, made a profile, put my name there, and somehow the director searched me on that database. I guess he was just like really looking everywhere and found me on this Sacramento Film Board and left a bunch of comments on my page, which I didn't see till a couple weeks later because I wasn't checking regularly enough. And then I saw all these comments. I was like, what the heck? But actually that day I saw those comments, I got fired from the job that I had in Sacramento for a warrant that I had for obstructing justice. It's kind of funny how it all ties together now.
Well,
But
I
anyway,
think
yeah.
it's such a great story because it's like fate was telling you that you had to do this, and of course the fact that Short Term 12 was such a brilliant, such a wonderful feature anyway. So I'm really glad they found you.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, me too. I mean, me too.
Just one more on your experience on this movie, Lakeith. The director of this film, Shaka King, said, I think this is an interview in GQ magazine. He said, I want actors to surprise themselves. And he's talking about you here. And he says he does that all the time. And he's obviously talking about this movie. Is that true? And how did that happen? How would you have surprised yourself in this film?
Wow, that is true. I never even looked at myself in that way, but it's true. Yeah, I mean, I love those moments. It's just it's kind of it's a combination of things, right? Your preparation, your existing in the moment, you're going with the flow of things, and not being afraid to explore a bit. You begin to unlock things that you never would have realized were there. And in this particular movie, there was a moment that was cut out of the film actually where I'm supposed to show up to Black Panther Party headquarters and try and basically get my way back in. And the way that he does that is he just does a pity party thing where he just breaks down and starts crying. And I didn't even know that I could do that in that way. But it
Yeah.
happened several times, and I was like, wow. So I was kind of. I kind of went beyond my own expectations in certain moments here. And also, there were moments where I completely had kind of blacked out, didn't know what was going on, and came back to. So that's when you know that you're kind of, I don't know, in the spirit of something that's bigger than you.
And I guess when you were making the movie, you obviously felt that it was going to be contemporary for 2021. But one of the first headlines that we see in the film from the New York Times front page, Saturday, April the 6th, 1968, the headline is Army Troops in Capitol, Guards sent into Chicago, Detroit, and Boston. So not just relevant to Black Lives Matter movement, but also January the 6th. I mean, this is contemporary stuff.
Yep. Yeah, man. It doesn't really matter who it is. If you're attempting to, go against the quote unquote powers that be, and you know how they respond. And yeah, it is what it is. It's up to people to decide. Like Fred Hampton said, it's up to people.
Lakeith Stanfield, we appreciate your time with us. Thank you very much indeed for speaking with us today.
Thank you.